You guys got to understand, effective dates is 9 times out of 10 even harder to find and get right than the actual rating itself.
If you don't know where to go and find those answers, that's a huge problem. And you're going to be highly frustrated because when they do that rating decision in the narrative, they list these 38 CFR this, 38 CFR that was used to deny your claim. A lot of vets don't even look it up.
You're going to be able to find all the breakdown on how it is governed, again, in regulation and legislation and how they interpret it. So again, being able to navigate that, you're going to be able to understand exactly what the regs state. And knowing your regs, you know everything.
The more you know, the better you're going to be able to equip yourself with the knowledge to go and I don't want to say fight, but go and basically advocate for yourself before the VA. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran, retired VA rating specialist, and your VA claim nugget man. And I'm joined today by...
And I'm Kenneth Davis, CEO of Veterans for Veterans, a former VA Raider, and also U.S. Navy veteran as well.
All right, Mr. Davis, it's a pleasure, as always, to do another collaboration. And today we are going to be talking about the 38 CFR, why veterans need to understand this. But before we get into today's video, can you let everyone know where they can find you on YouTube? What is your YouTube handle?
Yes, please. You can be able to find us at Prepare to Compete. Again, you can be able to find us there on YouTube, or you can be able to find us at vetsforvetsconsulting.com online as well, and also info at vetsforvets.com as well. That'll be, again, info at vetsforvets.com, and also Prepare to Compete, where you can be able to find more informative videos, educational videos for our channel as well.
All right, sounds good. Good stuff. So 38 CFR. Used to rate, Mr. Davis.
Yes.
How did you find the 38 CFR when you rated? Did you find it helpful when you were, was it something that you had to use when you were a rater, when you were adjudicating veterans claims?
Well, navigating the 38 CFR, you definitely needed it. However, I had a special way of walking to a secondary cubicle with leadership, and they were a 38 CFR encyclopedia that I knew that always gave me basic navigation, which would help me navigate the 38 CFR. But I obviously, over time, you get to really understand it and break it down. So it was a really great opportunity to understand, obviously regulation.
Right. So, Mr. Davis, for the ones that don't know what CFR stands for, can you explain what CFR stands for?
Yes, of course. So again, the CFR, it's the Code of Federal Regulations, and this here, it governs all VA benefits or veterans benefits. That's going to be able to outline whether if it's burial, whether if it's VBA, whether if it's VHA. You're going to be able to find all the breakdown on how it is governed, again, in regulation and legislation and how they interpret it. So again, being able to navigate that, you're going to be able to understand exactly what the regs state. And knowing your regs, you know everything.
Right. And that's one thing that I tell people. The VA is giving us the answers in plain sight. But if you don't know where to go and find those answers, that's a huge problem. And you're going to be highly frustrated because when they do that rating decision in the narrative, they list these 38 CFR this, 38 CFR that was used to deny your claim. A lot of vets don't even look it up. I had a client one time, and he was saying, Dwayne, they put these 38 CFRs in my decision. And I said, well, give them to me. And I looked them up, and guess what? They had nothing to do with the reason why they denied it. And I'm like, this is crazy. It's like they just picked certain 38 CFRs out of the air. And guess what? A lot of veterans don't think to be like, oh, well, okay, they denied me. Let me read this narrative. Oh, let me look at these 38 CFRs that they're saying that they use to justify the denial. And you know what I had to do, Mr. Davis? Had to do a video on it, right? But I used that 38 CFR when we would take that, what is it, biannually test, it was like a, what,
Yeah,
300 word test. Because back then you had to pass that test to call yourself a journeyman RVSR, right? Just like, okay, you got to pass the test just to get that title, whatever. But what I would like to do at this time, Mr. Davis, is to go to the KnowVA.benefits, and I want you to put me to the test and come up with a topic where I have to find the 38 CFR. Any topic, it could be, tropical diseases, effective dates, or whatever. So I'm going to share my screen right here. So for veterans, this is something that I used a lot when I was a Raider to get to the 38 CFR a lot faster. And this is really gotten better over the years because it has, like you mentioned, we got burial benefits, compensation, and pension. That's what we're going to stick with. E-benefits, which I don't think they had an e-benefits website anymore. The education service, fiduciary, home loan guarantee, life insurance, a lot of information. And I tell veterans, look, I don't care if you're working with a company, VSO claims agent, or an attorney, you need to be in here. You need to be in here. So without any further ado, Mr. Davis, just give me a hot topic. I can find the 38 CFR. Let me put my glasses on first.
Oh man. There's so many. But what I will, how about this? I want to start with one of my favorites. How about 3.4? You know what? Let's not go. Yeah, let's not exactly because I know how to navigate one. What about effective dates? Can we do effective dates there?
I think I had that pulled up already. I must have been doing something. Okay, so let's try to find effective dates. Now, one thing to point out, people, I think I must have did a video. You can see I already did a search for that. Now, if when you type in and you previously looked for a topic, like in this case, effective dates, and you select this right here, I'm going to show you all something, a little trick that I learned when I was a Raider. Here we go. Oh, so it worked. Before, if you selected something out of that black box, you wouldn't get the highlight behind the words. So I guess they updated, okay, which is a good thing. So we're looking. Go ahead, Ms. Davis.
Oh, no, I'm just saying it was a great thing because.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely. So here's a 38 CFR that covers effective dates. But what I like to do is before I click on that effective date, 38 CFR, I want to look at, so we got 38 CFR 3.400 through 38 CFR 3.405. I want to look at the manual reference. I want to see what's in here. Okay. So we have general guidance assigned of effective dates. We got impact of intent to file effective dates for direct service connection and secondary, presumptive increase, effective dates based on a change of law or regulation, which is, I want to say that's the liberalizing law, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. Then claims for earlier effective dates. Okay. And then here's some more information. And again, you can see where having this highlighted in yellow really helps out. And so I'm looking at, look at this. What is that right there? 38 CFR 3.400, 38 CFR 3.500. But that probably has nothing to do with service connection. Effective date. So let's go back and we're going to click on this right here. Okay. And so these are different topics: effective dates, general, veterans, surviving spouse, children, parents. Let's click on general. It's going to bring up another screen. Code of Federal Regulations. Okay. And there's a lot of information here. And this is where I try to educate veterans to empower them not to be afraid to come here and look at this information. Okay. Because a lot of vets say, oh, I should have been granted an early effective date back to this date based on what 38 CFR. Right. So coming here and looking at this, because I've seen effective dates, and help me out here, probably showing my age, how long ago I rated. Um, effective date, you have the intent to file date, and a lot of veterans probably don't even know this. Effective date, date of claim, right? And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then date facts found, or date entitlement arose. Do you remember assigning some of those effective dates? Date entitlement arose, date facts found when you actually rated?
Oh, of course, of course. This here, and I want to give context to veterans a bit before I go on. So, you guys got to understand, effective dates is 9 times out of 10 even harder to find and get right than the actual rating itself, because it's so difficult. Definitely, if you are a continuous prosecution veteran, if you are a veteran who has provided a Q unmistakable error, or a Q rather, right? Or even a, let's say, like you said, liberalizing, right? Liberalizing. When the actual law change, what happens then, right? How are you provided effective? It's so difficult. And sometimes, again, it's not black and white. This is one of the most areas that raters get in trouble. But yeah, again, when applying effective dates, when you talk about the dates of entitlement rolls, or regular increases, you may even get tripped up on, right? Because you got to understand, veterans, when you actually go to the facility and talk about the issues that you're dealing with, that may be your effective date rather than the actual submission of your actual data claim. It's so many different ways on how to look at it. It's so many different ways, but again, providing great rationale and getting here in the 38 CFR right here at 3.400, it will always put you in the right direction, as Mr. Kimball was navigating it now.
And you gave a good example about the increase. And because if you go off the evidence within the VA's control, which is the VA medical record. So if you are, let's say, service connected for 30% for PTSD, and you in your notes, let's say December 2023, you show the criteria for 50%, but you do an intent to file the following year, and then submit a prescribed claim form, even though you're service connected, that information is within the VA's control, and you could possibly assign that earlier effective date. And that's where I think a lot of that, when they don't know. And a lot of their VSOs and maybe some claims agents don't know, or don't take the time to do that research. And the veteran is okay with that effective date when they actually could have done a high level review and said, hey, X, Y, and Z, I should have been awarded an effective date based on my increase date facts found on this date because it meets the criteria for the higher percentage. That's an argument that they can make on a high level review. And so that's, on my channel, I like to approach it from the educational standpoint. The more you know, the better you're going to be able to equip yourself with the knowledge to go in and, I don't want to say fight, but go and basically advocate for yourself before the VA.
And I'll add there, when we talk about being an advocate, the first step is being an advocate for yourself. That's number one, okay? Second step is getting the professional help that you need to be able to take it further. Now, Mr. Kimball pointed out a great point of taking it to a higher level review and appeal. But now you can even take it further, okay, and take it to the Board of Veterans of Appeals. And when we talk about effective dates, regulation may state one thing, but as you mentioned, dates facts found can actually put you in a position to get even a better effective date based upon the judge interpretation. Interpretation of the law and regulation is number one, because when we talk about interpretation could mean different things for different people. So you have to be careful when you talk about effective dates. It is not what you feel, it is what the law states and what you find.
Right. And the hardest time, and I'll pose this question to you as well, Mr. Davis, The hardest time I had with effective dates is when I was rating Nehmer cases back in August 2010. And I did that for a whole year because
Could you explain what the Nehmer cases are?
right. So Nehmer, it's crazy because it came out, even the PACT Act was August 2020, August 22?
August 10th, 2022. Yep.
Nehmer, August 2010. I don't know if it was the 10th. I have to look that up. I might do a search in the manual reference, but yeah, I know it was August 2010. And what that mean was they added 3 conditions to 38 CFR 3.309 subpart 8. I always remember that because I worked those Nehmer cases for a whole year. And one of those conditions was ischemic heart disease. And so what that meant was any veteran that qualified for Agent Orange exposure and they now have a diagnosis for ischemic heart disease, they can be service connected. But the VA took it a step further. They said, we're going to go all the way back and we're going to be looking for claims where veterans were previously denied. And one of those claims, I think I went back to 1982 and I had to do a stage rating. So if you looked at this veterans rating code sheet, there was several different percentages and about 10 or 12 different effective dates. So I'm looking through all the evidence that he submitted, all the VA progress notes. Oh, MES level was 3 here. 2 years later, it was at a 7. That was a stint that he had a MES level of 2. So I was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so when it came to Nehmer cases, I got really good at assigning those effective dates. And I'm telling you, when you're a stage rating like that, you're on pins and needles because I was scared that the QRT team was going to pull it. And, and if I would have had one of those effective dates wrong, even though we were giving that vet like 300, 400,000, that was going to lower my overall quality. So I'm on pins and needles, like, man, I get it right. Because if you're just dealing with one effective date, like you said earlier, effective dates can be really hard, really hard. And especially when veterans submit 1,000, 1,500 pages. Now it's like you're looking through a needle in a haystack and you find it and it's like, okay, what's the effective date? So when was there a time when if you can remember, one of the hardest times that it took you to assign an effective date for a veteran, a grant?
I have one in particular. So you mentioned, and I do want to address this. You mentioned something so profound, right, in regards to the education portion. You mentioned stage rating. Veterans, a stage rating is going to position you where you can actually get a higher or lower rating based upon the current severity of your service-connected issue at that time. And now it may change in regards to the date and also the percentage that's assigned. So if you have, again, mentioned ischemic heart disease, you may have the qualification to receive 10%, and it may go up to 50% a year later and on. So that is very powerful for you. But also it could hurt you too, based upon how it is interpreted. And as Ms. Kimball said, it is stressful trying to get an effective date correct. And you would literally spend a week on a claim getting an effective date correct, right? I mean, because you'll have to go back and forth and get the different opinions because it gets so complicated. But mentioning the one of the case files, so we had a veteran who was basically having financial instability. And now with that financial instability, it was sent up to, obviously, when we are talking about the appeals management office, right? There's a lot of cases that are pushed by their congressman or congresswoman. So anytime we have a case file that is high visibility amongst a political matter, we have to push it and we have to get it out. But this veteran, he's been fighting this case, and at the time, let's say, again, it's around 2015, and they've been fighting this case up over and over again on a regular basis since about the 90s, okay? And continuously being denied. I'm seeing a denial, but for some odd reason, the judge thought otherwise. And not did they granted the benefit, but when you grant the benefit, and this was a benefit based upon a cancer, so, and you know how difficult that is, right? Because it's based upon active cancer or remission, and at the time, the veteran has active remission, and it goes on. So, but then having to find out the effective date, because they just said it's a grant. That's all they say. You go figure it out. I had to go all the way back to 1990 on all the way up. And when I tell you, it was one of the most difficult effective dates that I still got wrong, because it was a stage rating, and we must admit our shortcomings as well, right? They pulled the QRT stage rating against bringing it down from 100% down to 10% based upon current remission issues at the moment, and then next thing you know, no, it should have stayed the 100 percentile. Right. So again, like I said, when you have to go back that far, it becomes difficult to understand when is effective date, when is stage it, when they're not. And they don't give you more points just because you have to, or in more authorized time to effectively rate the case file. No, you just need to do it in a timely manner because you have been trained all across the country to be able to do this. So that was a very difficult thing. And again, like I said, sometimes it just sits in your lap. But I'll tell you right now, I'll be very, very transparent. It's set in my queue for a few weeks because going back and forth, you just don't know. You know, and this is not just myself. Again, we had the whole entire. I need everybody come help me. Come check this out. You know, so but yeah, that was one of the most difficult case files I had to deal with.
And I just recorded a video today talking about production quotas. You mentioned you don't get excluded time. You know, so you're sitting there and check this out. And I'm gonna throw a twist in there. And luckily, the cancer did metastasize, because now you're looking at secondary and you got to figure out that effective date when you grant, you know. So that's why I tell veterans, like, you know, in that video, I don't want to give away too many nuggets, but I'm like, the one way that you can help these VA employees out, you got to understand, one, there's a quota and it could have an impact on your claim depending on, you know, where they're at in that biweekly time period and where they're at with their quota. How can you help them out? Don't just send 2,000-3,000 pages of evidence and be like, oh, they have to read it. I'm not reading that because I'm going to get way behind on my quota, you know, and it could just sit there. You know, I talked about this in that video. It's just going to sit there. And that's what they don't get. You know, a lot of veterans don't get, and a lot of representatives, VSOs, attorneys, they don't get it. I'll get to it when I get to it, but I got to make sure I'm meeting my production. You know, I didn't tell them that, but I'm like, I got to meet my production quota and serve the vet at the same time. So there's a little bit of, you know, a balancing act that I have to do with that. And I think that is something that veterans, they don't hear, because I don't hear other people talking about it on YouTube, and they don't understand it. So I always tell veterans, you know, put that VA employee, whether it be a VSR, RVSR, or even a DRO, if you're doing a high level review, put them in a position to say yes the first time. You know, not saying it's a guarantee, but, you know, do your due diligence. So before we wrap up, Mr. Davis, I'll give you the last word. What part of wisdom can you provide to veterans that's going to see this video about the 38 CFR?
Well, I'll just really echo what you just stated here. You have to understand that 38 CFR is one of the most complex documents or transactional platforms that it is so complex that it goes over all benefits or regulatory information amongst the government, not just VA benefits, right? We have to really understand. However, veterans, you need to educate yourself, because if you don't educate yourself, who's going to advocate better than you for you? No one. You have to educate and advocate for self-reliance and also due diligence, right? You have the skills, you have, again, the autonomy, and you actually know what happened to you. Be that person who you need yourself to be, that you will be for others, okay? And I'll tell you right now, if you do your due diligence and have an organized case file, you just may come across a rater that just says, hey, they helped me out, let me help them out. Because they pointed out 3.400, they pointed out 3.459, they're pointing out the actual regulations, but also beyond the regulations, because you did your due diligence. Again, we're not saying you have to be a rater or you have to really understand it down to the morsel. No, you're just saying, just know what you're getting into. But beyond that, let's make sure that you provide an organized file, because you just may, again, win.
There it is. And we'll leave it there for today. So again, Mr. Davis, thank you for joining me and recording this video. And people, we're going to have a video every month on a particular topic. So if it's something that you would like for us to discuss, not claim specific, not like Dwayne, Mr. Davis, how do I do this for my claim, but just a particular topic, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section and we'll do a research and we'll see about recording a video on that particular topic. So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button. And as always, share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.